Okay. So we will start with the JavaScript after the introduction. How does
Okay.
JavaScript works? Can you just give me an idea? How does JavaScript execute on the browser?
Yeah, JavaScript works on browser.
Hmm.
Mm, how did it is like
How does JavaScript execute? Is it
JavaScript we
asynchronous
can
or
execute on
asynchronous?
console. JavaScript we can execute on console. Whatever we wrote code in Visual Studio directly we can check in JavaScript. We import that JavaScript file in HTML and open that
No.
HTML file in console.
Listen, my question. How does JavaScript execute? Synchronous or asynchronous?
Synchronous only.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was the question. Like, how does JavaScript execute? When we talk about the environment, you are saying like obviously JavaScript execute on the browser, but how does it execute? Synchronous way. Then what is the asynchronous? Let's say if we have something which is asynchronous code. So in JavaScript, how do we write the asynchronous code?
Using observable and promise.
In pure JavaScript, we have
RxJS
observable.
library. Yes.
In okay. So again, set timeout, set interval. Those are also nothing but asynchronous. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is closure? What is closure?
Close. I forget actually. Sorry for that.
Oh, okay. What is hoisting? You are aware about hosting and closure or no? Your voice is not coming. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Yeah. Now you are audible. What is hoisting?
Hoisting, yeah. Like hoisting, let where and const. Hoisting JavaScript define undefined variable. JavaScript define assume variables are defining from upper to lower. Like if
Okay.
where like x equal to 10
Hmm.
and didn't define where x equal to 10, x is a variable, then
Hmm.
JavaScript automatically as according to hosting
Hmm.
it will automatically take where equal to where x. If it is
Hmm.
let and const, hosting will not work. Means for
Okay.
where it's works, but let and const it's not work, it will throw reference error.
Okay.
So that
Fine.
is hosting.
Okay. So what are the ES6 features you have used till now?
Sorry.
ES6 feature you have used till now.
Yes, ES6 features, uh, arrow functions a bit I used, and
Hmm.
arrow arrow function only.
Only arrow function you have used. What are the other
Yeah,
features we have? What are the list of features
I
we have in
think
ES6?
promise and all also ES6 feature.
Hmm. Okay. So what is the difference between var, let, and constant?
Yes. Where is a function scope and let and const like block is scope only. In block
Hmm.
only let will work. Like in a
Hmm.
one function we define let x is equal to something, then it
Hmm.
will be accessible only in that function. And let we can define second time also, but const we can't define again. Const we can define only same once. And where we can define too many times, too many times. That's about let, where, and const.
Okay. So if we talk about constant, let's say I have created a variable with const. Can I change that variable value if I stored a string or number?
No, const we can't change.
Let's say if I have stored array or object in the constant variable,
Okay, array and object. Uh,
will I be able to change the value if I stored object or array in the constant?
no, we can't change in constant array or object, whatever value it is. We can't
Okay.
change. Yeah.
Just check this question one more time. Okay. After that, what are call, apply, and bind method in function?
Call, apply, and bind method.
Bind.
Yeah, call, apply, and bind. It's
Okay. Even let's say if we talk about function, like what is callback function?
yeah, in one function we call another function, that is callback function. Callback function, like if I wrote something, I created one function name first
Hmm.
and also
Hmm.
created second function. In
Hmm.
callback function, and after that function we will wrote one more function that will call after one function will call. So callback function, in one function we can write another function that will execute after first function will call. But we didn't use callback function more just because of
Hmm.
callback help.
Okay. Fine. What are the positions we have in CSS? CSS
Static,
position. Hmm.
relatives, and fixed,
Hmm.
absolute, that are position in CSS.
Okay. What is box model in CSS?
In box model, like in center it will be content whatever we wrote. After that length, width and height. Inside that box, padding, and outside that padding,
Hmm.
margin will be there. That is box model. We can adjust, if we will open our page in console,
So you said,
and directly from arrow function we can
you
check
said,
box. Yeah.
yeah. So you said width and height. Is it the part of box model, width and height?
No, it is the property of CSS, but it is
But
like
when we say
box.
box model, will width and height will come into that answer?
Mm, maybe no. I think padding and margin. But it is all related to box model only. It will show
Okay.
where we wrote our content, how much width and height it will take.
Okay. Fine. Just a minute. Let me change my network. Okay. Coming back to Angular, what
Yeah.
is the major building blocks of Angular we have?
We have major building block components, directives, component view, and decorators,
Hmm.
and services,
Hmm.
that are dependency injections.
Hmm.
Hello.
Okay. What are the types of directives we have in Angular? I'm audible. What are the types of directives we have in Angular? Your voice is not coming.
Hello.
Yeah. What are the types of directives we have in Angular?
So maybe my voice is, yeah. Two types of directives are there in Angular. Uh,
Hmm.
means two three types of directives are there: attribute directive, structural directive, component directive.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
attribute directives, structural directive, and component directive all are built-in directive. Also we can
Hmm.
create some custom directives. Attribute
Okay.
directive, like change the appearance of behavior, like behavior of component element, or
Hmm.
directives. And
Hmm.
structural directive, like change the layout by adding and removing some DOM elements. That is
Okay.
structural directive. Attribute directives, example ng style and ng class. Structural directive, ng
Hmm.
if, ng4. Attribute directive
Okay.
we wrote in square box. And structural
Hmm.
directive star ng if, star ng4. One more
Okay.
directive is component directive also we define. So like used
Hmm.
component directive is a template. At the rate component we define in component.ts. In that we define
Hmm.
HTML file name, CSS file name path. And also is if it is
Hmm.
standalone before Angular 17. So it is
Hmm.
standalone or not. So it's a
Mhm.
component directive basically define structure of the component or
Okay,
directive.
fine.
Yeah.
So ng switch is a structural directive or attribute directive?
Ng switch. Ng
Yes,
switch is a structural directive.
fine. So from Angular 17, we have got something control flow statement. What are those?
Control flow statement. That I don't have idea.
In Angular 7, from Angular 17, we have got something control flow statement.
Yes, yes, that I heard, but I didn't work on that.
What have you must have seen at the rate if at the rate for we can write in HTML. Have you
Yeah,
tried that?
yeah, that no,
Okay, so
yeah,
that is nothing but control
control
flow
plus.
statement.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I used at
fine.
the rate if at the rate for only one
So why?
benefit of using that in like if we
Hmm,
use structural directive star ngf star ng4, in that we have to
hmm,
import common module in ts file. But if we use at
hmm,
the rate if at the rate else and at the rate 4,
hmm.
we don't have need to import common module and all.
Okay. Do we really need to import common module, or we can just, let's say in your component you are just using ngif, so can we directly import ngif only, or do we need to load the whole common module?
If we are using only ngf, then we can use only import ngf. But if we are
Okay,
using ngf also for also and ngm too many times, then we can import common module, so it will import all the modules.
okay, fine. What is routing in Angular? What's the use of routing?
Yeah, routing is used for a single page application. Like using routing, we can navigate from one component to another component. Like in one page, there are
Hmm,
too many tabs: home, service, and what all.
hmm,
So from one page,
hmm.
without reloading complete page, we can navigate from one component to another component. That is routing.
Okay. What is
Sorry,
wildcard route?
why? Sorry,
Wildcard route. Wildcard
why?
route.
Wildcard route. No idea about
Yes.
that.
How do you create a default route?
Uh, in one file, we do like
Let's
routing,
say you
yes,
have,
in angular.json file, maybe.
no, no, no.
No,
Listen to my
app
question.
route.ts file.
How do you create a default route? Means once you run application by default, let's say login component you have to render, right? Whenever you
Yeah,
in your project also, when you run it by default, some component will be loaded by default, right?
yeah, sorry.
By default, by
Yeah.
default, which page you have to load? So how do you create the default route in Angular?
In app component.html, we using selector, we can using
No,
selector
no,
we
no.
can
That
define
using,
that.
but if we implement the routing, we don't use the selector, correct?
Yes,
When we work on a project, we have multiple routes. What are the component we created? For that, we create the routes. Out of that route, I need to set one route as a default. So when I access the application, by default, that component should be get rendered by default, correct? So how do
yes.
we create that default route in Angular?
In app.route.ts file, in router link, we
Yes.
will set that path
Hmm.
of that route. Like in app.route.ts file, path and component name is there. So that path and
Hmm.
component name we will give in app.route.ts file.
Okay, fine. Just check this answer also. Okay, how to create the
Oh,
default route and wildcard route. Fine.
okay.
Now, what is the use of Angular CLI? What it does, CLI?
Angular CLI helps in Angular to create directly whatever we want to create, like ngg project name, so it will create project.
Hmm. Hmm.
Nggc and component names to create component.
Hmm.
It basically help us to create schematic Angular.
Hmm. Okay.
Nggd and directive name,
Hmm.
so it will create directive. So
Got
Angular
it.
CLI help us to install whatever we want to use.
Got it. Got it. So tell me, like, let's say you created the project using Angular CLI.
Hmm.
I have to create a component, but without using Angular CLI, can we create a component?
Yes, then we have to manually create like component.ts file, component.html file, and four files are there. Spec.ts file if we are doing any unit testing,
Okay,
and
got it, got it.
component.css file.
That that spec.ts file, is it mandatory?
No, it is
Spec.
not mandatory.
Okay. So normally in component we have minimum three file: .ts, HTML, and
HTML,
CSS.
yeah,
Can we create component with just .ts file? I don't want separate HTML or separate CSS file. Is it possible
Ye-
to have
yeah,
only one file in a component? So how we
yeah,
will
it is
achieve that?
possible. Like in at the
How?
rate component, we give path name in HTML and CSS. So directly we can use inline HTML and also inline CSS. In
Okay. What is
.ts
that?
file
What is
itself,
that?
we can
Got
in
it. Got it.
.ts file itself we can write that HTML code, and if we want to write CSS code or CSS also, so we can write in .ts file.
Okay. What is that at the rate decorator? At the rate component you said, right? What is that?
At the rate is a notation, and decorator is like extra information about the class. Decorator
So how many
basically
types?
four
Hmm.
types,
Yeah.
four
Hmm.
or five,
What are
four
those?
types: class decorator, property,
Hmm.
or also we can say variable decorator, method decorator,
Hmm.
and parameter
Hmm.
decorator. Class
What
decorator
are
are that
property decorator?
decorator. Okay.
What are
Property
property decorators?
decorator that define above the property, like at the rate input, at the rate output, at the rate host
Okay.
bind, that are properties.
Hmm.
So before
Okay.
property, whatever we define, that is property decorator.
What's the use of host listener?
Host listener, like in host listener, at the rate mouse enter, mouse leave. So his host listener
But
is like
what is
on
this?
scroll. Method decorator,
What is that?
method
But
decorator.
where you will use those? Where you will use those?
In
Right?
directive,
Normally.
basically I use.
Hmm.
If
Okay.
I will
So
create
can we
custom
use
directive, yes.
that in component also? Host
Uh,
listener.
no, in component I didn't use in my work,
You said
but in,
when I asked a
yeah,
directive, you said component is also a directive, right? That was
yeah,
your
at the
answer.
rate component, yeah,
So component is also kind of a directive, correct?
yes,
Okay. So in if I can use host listener in directive, so same I can use it in component because that is also nothing but directive, right?
yes,
Sorry, component directive only, correct?
yes, correct.
Okay. So host listener we can use in component also, just like we can use in directive also. Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
What's the use of services?
Services, like in services, we can write common logic or function, reusable variable, or common data we can write in services. Services
Yeah.
basically defined using at the rate injectable decorator.
Hmm.
Function that we wrote inside the services we can use in
Hmm.
component also, or if we
Hmm.
wrote any custom directive in that also we can use service. Service call basically
Okay.
we did by using dependency injection in constructor.
Hmm. Got it. Fine.
So
So API call, let's say you have a API call. You want to
hmm,
integrate an API call. So
hmm,
that API call function, either you put it into service or in your component, you have created a function. So on the
hmm,
page load, you need to call that API, you
hmm.
need to call that API call data. So where you will call that function?
Ng on in it. At the rate life cycle hooks are there in Angular. So using
Hmm.
ng
Hmm.
on in it, we will
Hmm.
take that data from API and we can use in
Hmm.
our component.
Okay. So can we do the same API call in constructor also?
Yes.
You said, right? So why don't we call that function in constructor and we do that in the ng on in it? What's the reason behind that?
ng on init, it will load before like first component initialize when Angular in load. So first constructor
Mhm.
initialize, after that ng on init initialize. So we can use in constructor also. After,
But normally we don't use constructor to trigger the API call function, correct? We do that in ng on init.
okay,
So what there might be some reason, correct?
okay,
Right? Because on the
yes,
page load, constructor will also execute and ng on it will also execute, right?
yes,
But normally
yes,
API call function we call in ng on it, but not in
ng
the
on init.
constructor, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So just try to find the answer to this also, like why we do like this. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
What is view child?
View child is like um, at the rate view child. That is a decorator.
Hmm.
View child decorator.
Yeah. But what's the purpose of view child?
View child life. No, not idea about that more. Only I seen view child is decorator.
Okay. Fine. Difference between template and the reactive form?
Template form is a basic form, but
Hmm.
reactive form basically that we use more. So, if we want to create simple form, then we will use reactive form. Sorry, template form. But if we want
Hmm.
to create model form, and so we will use reactive forms. Mm,
Hmm.
Template form like more code we wrote in HTML, but for reactive form more code whatever validation and all, we wrote that code in .ts file, and that is the difference
Okay.
in template driven form and reactive form. Reactive form also we called model driven form.
Okay. Fine.
In
Let's
template
say,
form unit testing is a bit tough, but in reactive form it is easy.
okay,
Yeah.
fine. So let's say in your reactive form, we have 5 to 6 control. If any control value get changes, you need to write a code, right? Let's say
Yes.
you have city control and you binded that city to a drop down. Whenever that drop down value change, you need to write some code. How you will do that in reactive form?
In .ts file we will change.
No, you have a drop down. You have a employee form. Inside that employee form, you have name, city, state, mobile number, something controls are there. And in your HTML, you have binded your reactive form controller name. Whenever that city drop down value get changed, you need to write a code on that. How you can do this? If any
Yes.
city value get changed, you need to write some code. How, what event and how do you will write the code? You understood my question?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, you understood my
Sorry.
question?
Yes. Like
So you have a city drop down. On change of that city drop down, you need to write a code.
hmm,
What event or how you will write it?
okay.
Let's say assume you have a normal form. Forget about reactive or template. You have a normal form. Once the city change, let's say you have a dependent drop down. State drop down is there, and after that you have a city drop down. If you select Maharashtra, then Maharashtra city should come. Means on the state drop down change, you have to call an API, and then you will get the city from the Maharashtra, right? That is my scenario. Now tell me how you will write that code, which event you will use and how you will write that event. Am I audible? Hello? No, you are not audible.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, you got my
Um,
question.
yeah, yeah. Yes. And
So,
like if from API data, some data came using ng binding interpolation and
no, you got my question. We have a form. Inside that form, we have a state drop down, and after that, we have a city drop down. and state
Hmm.
drop down data and city drop down data is coming from API. Once I change the city to Maharashtra, I have to call another API which will get me the list of cities from the Maharashtra. So how you will do this?
Okay, using post method, like we will first share whatever we select in our first after first
Mhm.
like we selected Maharashtra. After that,
Mhm.
that Maharashtra we will give response to to second API, and second API will call again, and it will give the data for city of Maharashtra's.
So I'm asking which event you will try, how you will write that code. On drop down, what function you will call, what event will be there. Click event will be there, or which any mouse related event, which event you will call on drop
Click
down.
event only. Using click, we are doing this now. Drop
On drop down, does click event work?
mm, option
Are you
value using option.
Yeah, that's a drop down. I'm asking on drop down which event will work properly. We have multiple events, click
Yes.
event, mouse related, key related event. So which event will work properly on the drop down?
Okay, okay. I got your question.
Yeah.
In AngularJS, I basically use ng key up work properly, but in
But
Angular
in case of drop down, you don't use the keyword, na? You don't
key
use the
up,
keypad,
key
correct?
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
even if
said
key up, in case of drop down, why you will use the keyboard? If you want to change the state,
mm,
can you change the state by using your keyboard, or you will use the mouse,
mouse. So
right?
mouse,
So key,
yeah, mouse we will use mouse enter.
okay, but that's a change event. On drop down, change event will work, na?
Yes, change
Click event
event.
won't work. Change event we have to use, right?
Okay, okay.
Okay, but my original question was, if we have that in a reactive form, if a state value control value get changed, how you will write the code? So in reactive form, we have something value changes and we subscribe to it. Have you written something like that? Value changes dot subscribe in reactive form.
Dot subscribe only I used. We use for observable and on, and other one I didn't worked on that.
So in your project, are you using template form or the reactive form?
Reactive form basically I created some project using Angular 17 and Angular 18, but in my
Hmm.
work I use Angular JS only. That is the reason I don't clear
Old,
about. Yeah,
the older language.
yeah, Angular JS is the like Angular 1 now, and Angular 2 I
But
only
now
learn
But now, if you are looking for a job, obviously you need to learn the new only, right? AngularJS jobs are not there right now,
not
correct?
there. That's why I'm learning Angular 17.
So you need to master all the things from Angular 2 plus onward, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, correct. Mm.
fine, fine. So can you explain me any project you have worked currently? Like what is the project functionality? What task you have completed in that?
Yeah, actually, if I tell you in office in Infosys I'm working now, so in
Hmm.
that I'm using AngularJS, so I am working on
Hmm.
PNV1 mobile application,
Hmm.
working on from client location PNV1.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
in that I'm using AngularJS only, but for my
That's a older
learning
project.
purpose, yeah,
That's
that is yeah older project
okay.
only. I am working in
Fine.
this project from last 2 years,
So in
2.5 years.
Okay, so in AngularJS, what's the use of init? Init
In it,
function.
yeah, like in it, we use in HTML ng init. So
Hmm.
if whatever like any service we want to call at initialize page load itself. So in that page
Hmm.
load itself, whatever function or service we called, all data will load at page load itself. So
Okay.
init data load at
Okay.
page init. Yeah, page
So
initialization.
what's the difference between dollar scope and dollar root scope?
Dollar scope like dollar root scope complete workspace. If we check in complete workspace, we will use dollar root scope. But if we are
Okay.
checking in a single file, then we will use at the scope only.
Okay. So that old Angular language.
If we check in complete workspace, we will use $root scope. But if we are
Okay.
checking in a single file, and then we will use at the scope only.
Okay. So that old Angular language used to support that MVC pattern, right?
Yeah.
So why do we say that it follows MVC pattern?
Model view controller, basically, I say. So if
Hmm.
whatever we change in model, like if
Hmm.
there is one field name equal to
Hmm.
one input box where there I will write
Hmm.
Poonam. So if I will
Hmm.
write Poonam in that, that will save one model. So that model,
Hmm.
if I change in that model, view accordingly change. So model or view
Okay.
change as accordingly. That is why we said model view controller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So I'm also done up with my question.
If
Fine.
I tell you about Angular 17, so I created some project in my own, like one I
Hmm.
employ app I created, but not that
But
much clear. Yeah,
that won't be enough, right? That
yeah,
won't be enough. If you have to switch, you have to again create at least 4 to 5 project with different scenarios,
yeah.
right?
That
Then
is,
only you will
yeah,
get the confidence. That
yeah.
is one
I,
project you have created, that is just for your learning. But if you want to
yeah,
switch, obviously
yeah,
people are not going to ask questions so many deep,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Default route,
yeah.
wildcard route, everything they are going to ask,
Okay.
right? So
Yes,
if you want to switch, you have to master everything whatever we have it, because you, according to your experience, they will ask. They won't see like
yes,
if you are working on AngularJS or more and to Angular, right? They will treat you like
yeah.
a normal Angular developer because you are applying for Angular position.
Yeah, because
Got
if
it?
I will apply for AngularJS, there is no jobs for
Obviously,
AngularJS
no,
right now
that
in
language,
market. That's
that
why.
language is not there right now, right?
But if I
Only
will
legacy
tell truth
applications are there.
also, yeah,
Hmm.
but if I will tell truth also that I am using AngularJS, no one will take at least my interview. That's
Correct.
I'm taking telling like I am
Right.
using
So
Angular.
you
Yeah,
have to work, you have to first complete your
yeah,
basic topics, and then at least 4 to 5 projects you will do, then only you will get that confidence. Okay.
yeah. Yes. Just
So
till
see,
now I
अब
only read
you
some
understand
concept
Hindi?
and all. Yeah, yes,
You understand Hindi? Okay.
yes,
अब
yes.
देखो, आप जब भी कम्युनिकेशन करते हो ना, आप
Uh-huh.
आंसर दे रहे हो, राइट? उसी
हाँ,
आंसर में आपका आंसर कंप्लीट, कभी कभी क्या होता है, जैसे मैंने डायरेक्टिव पूछा तो आप ऑलमोस्ट 1.5 मिनट आपने खुद ही लिया, बहुत
हाँ,
कुछ बताया आपने डायरेक्टिव में। तो इन बिटवीन अगर
हाँ.
इंटरव्यूअर कुछ बोल रहा है ना, तो आप उस पर ध्यान नहीं देते हो। 2 3 बार ऐसा हुआ
Okay,
कि मैं फिर से आपको स्टॉप करने का ट्राई किया, लेकिन यू आर गोइंग ऑन, राइट?
okay. हाँ,
तो आगे वाला क्या होता है, फ्रस्ट्रेट होता है कि अरे यार, कभी कभी आप बहुत बड़ा आंसर अगर बताते हो ना, तो आगे
हाँ,
वाला
हाँ.
बोर हो जाता है, उसको पता
Okay.
चल जाता है कि या यू नो द आंसर, सो वो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पूछने का ट्राई करता है। लेकिन जब तक आप आपको जो बताना है वो कंप्लीट नहीं करते हो, तब तक आप रुकते नहीं हो, राइट?
Yes, right.
आप सुन के
Correct.
देखना ये
हाँ,
रिकॉर्डिंग, तब
हाँ.
आपको पता चलेगा। ओके।
ठीक है.
दूसरा
Okay.
पॉइंट, जावास्क्रिप्ट में मैंने जो पूछा ना वो बहुत बेसिक है।
हाँ.
अगर आप एंगुलर के लिए जा रहे हो ना, आपका इंटरव्यू स्टार्ट होगा जावास्क्रिप्ट से ही, क्लोजर, प्रोटोटाइप, होस्टिंग,
Yeah,
ES6
previously
फीचर।
I learned JavaScript पर अभी मैं भूल गई इसके लिए थोड़ा ऐसे हो गया. Yeah.
नहीं, बट आपका इंटरव्यू जावास्क्रिप्ट से ही स्टार्ट होगा। तो
Okay.
होता कैसा है,
हाँ.
अब ये मॉक इंटरव्यू था तो ठीक है, लेकिन रियल इंटरव्यू में सोचो कि उसने जावास्क्रिप्ट के क्वेश्चन पूछे, अगर आपने एक भी प्रॉपरली बता नहीं पाया, आपका कॉन्फिडेंस डाउन हो जाएगा।
Correct.
तो
हाँ.
जो आपको एंगुलर का आने आता भी होगा ना, वो भी आप प्रॉपरली डिलीवर नहीं कर पाओगे। सो
Correct.
एंगुलर का प्रिपरेशन करने से पहले आपको जावास्क्रिप्ट करना ही करना है, देयर इज नो रनिंग अराउंड फ्रॉम
Okay.
जावास्क्रिप्ट। करना ही
Okay.
करना है जावास्क्रिप्ट, क्योंकि फर्स्ट स्टेप
Okay.
ही वही है, हर कोई आपको जावास्क्रिप्ट ही पूछने वाला
हाँ.
है ना?
Okay.
ठीक है।
Okay.
और एंगुलर पे आपने जैसे मेरे को बताया कि आपने सिर्फ पढ़ा है, राइट? तो
हाँ.
वो दिखता है कि
Right.
आपने सिर्फ पढ़ा है, आपके क्वेश्चन क्वेश्चन के आंसर बहुत लिमिटेड है, सिर्फ थेरोटिकल है।
हाँ. हाँ.
तो आपको सही में 3 4 प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करना पड़ेगा, तभी जाके वो आपका कन्वर्ट होगा।
Yes, as
ओके।
a experience, right?
नहीं तो जो आप बोल रहे हो ना कि आपके इतने इंटरव्यू है उसके बाद हो नहीं रहा है, तो कहीं ना
हाँ.
कहीं वो रीजन है,
Okay.
क्योंकि वो दिखता है कि आपको, आप क्योंकि देखो एंगुलर
हाँ.
में डॉट नेट वाले भी लोग एंगुलर का इंटरव्यू देते हैं, जावा वाले भी देते हैं, PHP वाले भी देते हैं, और ऐसे भी
हाँ.
लोग हैं जो सिर्फ एंगुलर पढ़े हैं।
हाँ.
तो
हाँ.
बहुत सारे टेक्नोलॉजी वाले लोग एंगुलर में आ रहे हैं,
Okay.
राइट? तो
हाँ
अगर आप थेरोटिकल वाले ही आंसर दे रहे हो तो वो कि ये रट के आया आंसर ऐसा कंसिडर होता है,
हाँ।
सही में काम
करेक्ट।
नहीं किया है वो कंसिडर हो जाता है। तो इसलिए वो फिर
हाँ।
दूसरे कैंडिडेट के साथ मूव ऑन करते हैं।
ओके।
ओके, सो थोड़ा सा टाइम लो, प्रिपरेशन
हाँ
इंटरव्यू देना, थोड़ा सा रुक दो 15-20 दिन। 15-20 दिन
हाँ
ना जितने अच्छे से प्रोजेक्ट कर सकते हो सारे एडवांस टॉपिक अच्छे से करो, उसके
हाँ
बाद दो। नहीं तो क्या होगा, सिर्फ इंटरव्यू देते जाओगे,
हाँ।
आपके वो कंपनी वैसे वैसे फिर, जैसे आपने टीसीएस में दिया, अब दिया तो 6 महीने तक वो कॉल नहीं करते फिर से, राइट? बड़ी
हाँ
बड़ी
करेक्ट
कंपनी फिर
ओनली।
और 6-6 महीने के लिए आपको कॉल नहीं
होल्ड कर
आएंगे,
देते हैं। यस।
राइट? और आपका फ्रस्ट्रेशन भी बढ़ेगा कि यार इंटरव्यू दे रही हो लेकिन क्लियर नहीं हो रहे।
हाँ
ओके,
करेक्ट ओनली। हाँ।
राइट। एक मिनट, मुझे रिकॉर्डिंग स्टॉप करने दो, मैं आपको मटेरियल दिखाता हूँ कि कहाँ से प्रिपेयर करना है, मैं शेयर
ठीक है।
करता हूँ।